coming to you on this Tuesday, July the 7th. Look, great day today. Again, it's going to be hot. 77 degrees right now. Heat advisory. But guys, I want you to imagine this. This is July. It's hot. It's supposed to be August. But anyway, look. I want you to hydrate while you're out there. So look, matter of fact, we even hydrate in the inside of the studio. So our most able producer has water in here because if we faint and fall out, I don't think he plans on giving us mouth to mouth. Anyway, we're excited about you guys and glad to have you on today. We have the chairman of the Board of Commissioners, former Senator KIRK DEVIERE, man about town, a great father and
Gray's father. There you go. That's the one. That's
so
the one
look,
that
man,
matters.
look.
That's the most famous term.
I was asking his dad. Well, I'm still asking his dad. They never knew my name. So I went almost 40 years. They don't even know my name. Well, that's Ashley's dad. Does he have a name? No. Look, to me, parenting, man, it's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. And then, when Gray gets to be a young man, it's going to be interesting when they start. They start making decisions on their own, man.
Well, he's already making decisions on his own, so but he's good, and it was, it's important to find that time to, especially he's 9, and it's just so important to make that time for him right now, and finding that balance with everything, whether I have going on in my elected side or my professional side of my businesses, and just trying to, that's what really the fourth was. I just kind of stepped back a little bit from, a few of the community activities and just said, I got to spend some time here with Gray and family, friends, and just kind of, throw the football a little bit and shoot some basketball and, do a little swimming and just go see a movie and just kind of unwind a little bit. So it was good.
Where I remember back in the day, man, I would take Ashton with me to things, and
he
because
does too.
I'm saying right,
he does too.
I was in Raleigh, and I said, look, she needs to come with me.
Yeah, he's done a lot of it.
That's what I'm saying, right? So and the fun part about that is parenting is that they get to know your kid too,
Yeah, they do.
and so they really, because.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because this community has really watched him grow up in a lot of ways, because we've been, on the public-facing side of, as an elected official for most of his life, and so, the community is kind of, they know him as much as they know me, probably in some ways better.
Same thing, but my daughter went way away from politics.
Yeah, I'm feeling great well too, probably after watching Dad go through everything he goes through.
I remember being in a meeting with then Mayor Dawkins, and a couple of us were meeting. It was in the late evening meeting. That's, look, guys, she ain't gonna bother anybody, but she'll sit right there. But she was, she'd get into whatever she was doing. It wasn't
that was
electronic.
before screen time.
That's
so
right. That was
no
before screen. But she was deep in the book, so she sit there. She didn't bother anybody, and but just congratulations, man. Just being a good parent, man.
Yeah, we're trying. So he's back at another basketball camp this week, and he is loving life. So he's going to it every week. We've got, I think, 2 more to go this summer. So.
I heard that. Well, great for you guys, man. Well, look, there's some things going on. I'll let you stack us up. I know there's a lot of stuff happening, but I'll let you line up the conversation for us today. So what's on the horizon?
Yeah, and I'm sure, a lot of conversation around, and we had a conversation last week around Joint 911. I appreciate you, letting me call in to the great conversation. It was good to have Alan Rogers entered into that conversation. It's another voice.
Yeah.
So that was a good conversation. We've got our joint working group. So, we formed a joint city-county working group, smaller members, 3 from each side, along with the managers, to kind of work our way through this and then take things back to the board. We've got a meeting today.
That's what I was saying. You guys have a meeting
at
today.
9 a.m. So
it's at 9. Okay, I got you.
Breaking away a little bit early.
Dash to that, right?
Yeah. But so we've got a meeting this morning at 9 to kind of walk through that, and then both of us have board meetings, special meeting set for tomorrow with the hope of signing off on a joint resolution that we can send back up to the state and to Senator McInnes.
Right. So, I feel confident you guys will be able to work that kind of thing out. There's some agitation from some fringe people on the edges. But I believe that if allowed, you all could come together and come together with a good plan for our community, because at the end of the day, it's about the citizens.
That's right.
And what, the citizens win.
Yeah, I mean, it's about when you call 911 that they get the best possible service that they can get.
Correct.
At probably one of the most critical times, whether it's a mental health call, a cat in the tree call, or your house on fire. I mean, it's, I think that's the most important thing, as well as ensuring that we're taking care of our workforce and we're resourcing them at the levels that they need so they can provide that high level of quality standard service. So that's important. And, we've had a lot of great conversations over this last week, at all levels. Mayor Colvin and I have spoken multiple times, just trying to, continue to find that common ground. We believe we can find a path forward locally, that this doesn't, we don't need state involvement to resolve this. And even though it's been a long time coming, we both remain confident that we'll have a path forward. And I look forward to our conversations at 9. I think we've got some good options that we'll discuss this morning.
Okay, so it'll be 6 folk there, 3 from the city and 3 from the
Correct.
The county.
Along with our managers and attorneys.
Okay, and what time would that be? I mean, 9 o'clock,
9.
But where would it be at?
At City Hall.
It'd be at City Hall, okay, all
Yeah.
right.
Just like we have we did this one time before, so we kind of come together as a work group and talk through stuff, and hope, again, the goal would be to find that common ground where we could craft a joint resolution, and not they do one, we do one, but actually have one that we co-author and then take it to our boards tomorrow.
Right, so you guys have that meeting in that little side room there by the
Correct.
chamber?
Yep.
Okay,
Correct.
all right. That's a public meeting too, right? Or is it?
It's not a noticed public meeting.
It's not noticed,
because we only have, you
Right, you don't have, right.
But I mean, it's not like somebody's there, they're there.
Right, okay, all right, but that's good. Well, look, man, I'm praying, sir, that you guys work it out.
I continue to remain optimistic. I just really think that we all want to find the right path forward for this community. This thing's been bubbling for many, many years.
Oh man, that's what I'm saying. Look,
and this is just we find the path through this, and then we continue to work together on other points, which raises a level of service to our citizens. And there's a lot of things that we can work through as we move through this. But this is one that, when I came aboard, the county commissioners, and then as the chair, this is one of the first things that Mayor Colvin and I talked about. Mitch and I said, and we've known each other a long time. I think we can try to work through this and get our boards to work through this. This is important.
right. Well, look, we got Reb in here. Reb, I might need you to anoint my man going into this meeting.
We'll get there. We'll get there. But outside of that, we finished our budget. I think we talked about that
Right.
Previously. So we've got an approved budget that makes investments in the priorities in our community, continues to invest in our infrastructure, our water and sewer infrastructure, make some additional investments in our school system. We got to have strong schools to have a strong community. So invested those additional $150 million in new construction. We also did some things at Department of Social Services. Director and manager, we're going to see a caseload study as well as a comp study for parts of our DSS and health department. We've also, as part of the budget, gave some retention dollars to our DSS director to use as we're going through recruitment and retention, I should say. And so we just invested, continued investment in mental health, continued investment in public safety, with our sheriff's office. And so a very solid budget, no tax increase, which is important, no property tax increase. We continue to remain, competitive across our state, and that's important as we're recruiting local, as we're recruiting industry to come here. We need to have a good tax rate by which Robert Van Gien can help recruit, companies to come here. He's actually on the road today. I was talking to him yesterday, catching up a little bit, and he's out there, working on behalf of our community over the next couple of days at convention where there's some strong opportunities that fit right in who we are as a community for businesses to come in.
Yeah, well, with the knowledge that the Goodyear tire plant is going to be leaving next year, that's what's slated to happen.
Yep.
We're going to need some things to happen.
Yeah, and we've come together as a body, the county and the city of Fayetteville and economic development, FTCC, the council of government, the COG. So are kind of, as they have the workforce committee or the workforce commission, even state commerce. We've had some conversations around about how do we take care of that workforce. How do we begin to look at that location and what we can project into that location. Remember, that's the location that has got rail, water, gas, got everything coming into that location, into the Goodyear plant. So it's it'll be a prime spot for future industry. When you look at advanced manufacturing, which is exactly one of the industry segments that we recruit for, it's positioned well to do that, and I think our community is leaning forward now to take care of our workforce is here. Let's try to keep them here locally, but also what we do with that, location and how we recruit to that location.
Yeah, well, but again, that's what people are looking at, just the economic indicators and things, and where we are, as a metro in Cumberland County, and where we are. And I know, I'll keep beating the drum on our status.
Yep.
Is getting out of Tier 1, and I know that, we just got to figure that out somehow. And I know, you guys talk about the Fort Bragg issue, but Fort Bragg is not a liability; it's an asset.
Agree, but it potentially skews or factors into the numbers when you look at population growth and rates, because you have a population in the military that move in and out because of PCS. So we've asked Commerce about that. It's quite frankly, one of the first things I did, and when I came in as chair, I sent a letter to Secretary Lilly, the Commerce Secretary of the state, and said, hey, can we take a look at this? Can we have your data team take a look at this? It's probably not just affecting us, but other military communities as well. So let's look at this, holistically across the state, but use us as a kind of a way to look at the data and engage with Fort Bragg, and let's take a look at, the impact of it. Or is it even making an impact, or is it just an anomaly and it's not impacting the overall move? But Troy, to your point, we've got to do the things. If you're gonna grow a community, if you're gonna grow your population, you got to have rooftops to do that,
right? And
therefore you've got to have infrastructure to do that. And there's only so many places that you can really add rooftops. I mean, you can look, inside some of our urban areas, inside some of the cities, and they can do some things with ordinances to create density and some other things, but you've got to get infrastructure out in this rural area, and that's a responsibility of the county. And so we've been very focused and deliberate on trying to move that needle and create that infrastructure so that we can get, water and sewer out into some of these areas, so that we can have the type of growth that you want, and not growth on a well and a septic tank, because that's not going to be sustainable long term.
Right, because you have Wayne County, which is the Air Force base there,
That's
and
right.
You have Onslow
Yep.
County, which the Camp Lejeune, and I was just wondering where they at.
Yeah,
and
same.
What are they doing?
That's why when we spoke to the Secretary of Commerce, that was the thing we mentioned. Look at us, but then if you find the anomalies or something that's impacting it, this is going to impact other counties in the state, which are important. Everybody says, oh, well, it's a double-edged sword, because if you're in Tier 1, you get all these. You do, but you want to be in. You want to be out of Tier 1. You don't want to be economically distressed.
Right.
You want to be doing the things to grow, and more importantly, to have individual people prosper and have prosperity and wealth and grow, and that's a key indicator of it. We want our per capita, income to be higher. We want to make sure that the wages across our community are higher and proportional. We don't want to have an extremely high end and extreme low end. We want to have a very balanced kind of growth when you look at that income levels as well. That's important as well. So we've got work to do, but if you're going to get people here, if you're going to recruit industry here, you got to have good schools. The first thing they look at when we talk to people moving here, if you put Robert Van Gien on this show, he'll say, they ask me about two things: schools and crime. And so we've got to make those investments in our schools. We've got to make the investments in maintaining the schools that we have, and we've got to make the investments in the new construction for the schools. And not only, a county's responsibility is also to our community college system too. We're responsible for the investment at the community college too, and that's something that our board did this time, as we made some capital investments towards FTCC that hadn't been made in years either, because we know between them and Methodist University and Fayetteville State University, they're workforce engine for us as we look at, whether it's technology or healthcare or trades, whatever those pathways are for our workforce where we can grow our own. We need strong, not only, K through 12 schools, and I'll even say pre-K schools, but you also need those strong secondary schools.
Yeah, I was talking to one official, city official, we were discussing the growth over in Harnett County in particular. He was like, well, that's people that actually they're doing stuff here and they're living over there. And I said, hold it, I know those people. That's really not what's going on. Those people are going to Wake County. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of growth in Harnett County now. And since 2010, at one point I knew that they had grown 19%, and we had grown 0.5%. They're going in that direction. Yeah. Because they're better paying jobs. I mean, there's a group of people that live over there that's working at Goodyear. Mm-hmm. But I think that's about the gist of why they're coming in this direction. Okay, it's just somebody's coming in this direction, but we're talking about lots of people coming in this direction. No, I don't think so. I think they're going in the other direction other than, the tire plant.
And I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but there's some statistics out there, and I should know these off the top of my head, but I don't recall them right now. Kind of the inflow and outflow every day, the people coming in, the people coming out, where you're going. But Hope County, if you remember back in 2010, I mean, they had one of the lowest property tax rates.
Correct.
And so you saw explosive growth. So development and developers were able to go over there, good land price, good development, cost to build, and so they did that, and you saw a large growth of housing, but that also strains infrastructure. So that strains their water and sewer infrastructure, but it also strains their schools, because when those housetops, you're bringing in kids, and those kids are going into school systems as well. So I think they're feeling, and I don't want to speak for Hope County, but I think they're experiencing some of that, or Harnett County, they're experiencing some of that as well. Yeah,
and so, but but hey, look. You guys are elected. You got these professionals around you, and they make some handsome salaries. They're supposed to figure it out, and so that's where it's supposed to work, right?
I agree, and we craft a budget policy, strategic plan, and and our professional staffs begin to continue to execute it. But it is, I believe, a responsibility of our electeds to make sure that we stay that course too, and that we stay focused on the priorities and ensure that we don't, start, peeling off into different things that pull the efforts and the energies of your staffs away from, focusing on the priorities and the things that you've laid down in a strategic plan, so they can then lay out their operational level plans that they need to lay out as well. And then have a budget that supports them.
Right. Mr. Producer, can we back up, let's back things up, commercials, 10 minutes till about 20 till, and then we can complete this, and then he can go to his meeting. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. So, that's going to be a key part to things. But again, though, look, I have confidence that you guys are smart enough figure it out, you know, and get it done.
Now, some people wouldn't agree with that, but I appreciate that, Troy.
No, you know, I mean, I know. Look, I know you can do this.
Yeah, I mean,
I know you
we're
can.
not going to get everything right, and I think it's important that, you know, that's one thing I appreciate about our board is, you know, we've got people from all different life experiences.
That's true,
And
right.
I think when, you know, we work together and we hear those voices, and then you spend time in the community, and you hear, you know, what's the good and the bad in the community. You don't have to always agree with everything, you know, that you may be told in the community, but it's important that you're listening to those, you know, unique and diverse voices across the community, because they come from all walks of life. And, you know, and as an elected body, it's our job to find that best path that supports our residents and takes care of our residents, whether it's joint 911 or data center discussions or entertainment options at the Crown or what's happening in public schools. I mean, those are all things that come with very different voices, but we find that common path forward,
Right.
and unified path forward.
And I think that people understand that we all have different roles. I mean, like you being here today, and I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate the mayor being here, but it's not a competition.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I'm on this end,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to assess this situation like everybody else.
Yeah.
And we're inquiring, asking questions and things. And of course, if I hear something that I know is not jiving with me, so to speak, I'm going to give pushback. But then again, most of the times, if you're saying something and I don't know, then I'm just have to go fact check it. You know?
Yeah, and the thing that I appreciate about opportunities like this is that, you know, is to keep the facts clear. It's
Yeah, right.
important because, you know, words and facts matter.
They do.
And not, you know, variations of that. I'll put
Right,
it that way.
right.
And too often, you know, with the age of social media and just the age of whatever, you get a lot of, you know, variations of the truth out there. And so it's important, you know, why it's not just important coming on shows like this. It's important to show up to those community events so you can have those one-on-one conversations, not for photo ops, but to actually dialogue with people. It's why I go to community meetings, so that I can bring updates from the county, and more importantly, take questions from the people that are there so they can hear the facts. And I try to, when I'm wearing, you know, when I'm in this role as a chairman, I'm going to speak as the board, because that's my role. And if I ever speak my opinion, my direct opinion, if it differs from maybe where our board position is, I'm going to make sure I take that hat off, and I'm very clear about that. But it's important with opportunities like this, or just, you know, community level events, or just responding to residents, that you take the time to make sure people are armed with the facts, because there's a lot of
Right.
misinformation.
That's the thing.
You
I
know,
mean,
and opinions are fine, but you know,
that's
you're
right.
entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own set of facts.
Right.
And
Let's get to that fact straight
and I'm
first.
fine with people's opinions. Everybody's got one, but there's really only one set of facts.
Right. So let's get our facts straight first, and then let's deal with our
You know,
opinions.
and you
Right.
can build your opinion off of those set of facts, and I won't ever argue anybody's opinion. I respect their right to have that. Gosh knows I have that. You know, I respect it, but, you know, I guess in these hard community dialogues, I mean, you can still be respectful about
True.
the conversations. It doesn't have to be, you know, it can be passionate around the issue. You know, what is a data center going to, you know, how's it going to impact the community? How's it going to help the community? It doesn't have to be that there's a boogeyman behind it, and, you know, and the person's evil. I think we miss, but, you know, but that's society today, Troy. I mean, it's where we are, unfortunately. We should have respectful dialogue.
Yeah, let's take that call.
Always say call.
Right.
Hey,
And,
good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir.
Hey, Dale.
Yeah, from one Army veteran to another Army veteran and Air Force guy. How you doing, Kirk?
I'm good.
All right, so, hey, Kirk, this story will never get old with me, whether I'm talking to you or Troy or anybody else. The part you played in the other elected folks in helping Fayetteville State, back in 2022. So that'll never be forgotten because it was neglected. But what I want to talk about to you now is that, you talk about what's going on locally and whatnot. If you think about it, you read the Observer, of course, they talk about the disposition of these school buildings that the county no longer needs. They never want to cite GS 115C518, which says the Board of Education, the Board of Commissioners are first in line to receive that property. And if you guys don't want to receive it for whatever reason, then they can sell to anybody else. But you're going to get it for $1. And folks understand and have common sense that you supply the Board of Education with money. So why would they sell it to you for an exorbitant amount? And folks don't understand that the cost of demolishing these buildings would be on the backs of the taxpayers. So folks are being disingenuous out there, and I understand why. But one more thing that I want you to talk about, now that we're on the amendment for the taxpayers in September to limit local governments on raising taxes, how do you feel about that? I don't fault you because you guys at the board, and I say the city, have been good stewards of the money, but you got other local boards, other governments in city and county have not been good stewards. Personally, I can see the pros and cons. I'm undecided if I want it to pass. I'm undecided on how I'm going to vote. But what's your thought on it now since they put it in the hands of the voters? And I'll take your answers off the air.
Yeah, thanks, DL. Two good topics. And what I'll just say around the school system, you're exactly right. Your tax dollars have already funded the construction and the maintenance of those schools. You don't need to also fund the repurposing of those schools. But what I will say is, the plan for those, when you look at those schools, we're bringing together, a working group that will look at those. There's economic development opportunities. There are opportunities for affordable housing. There's opportunities for parks and recreation. There's a lot of opportunities on where those land and schools are located where the county is in a better position to begin to look at the redevelopment of those locations. And so we're going to do that. We're going to engage the community. We're going to look at where those opportunities are. I mean, quite frankly, look, some of those schools are on, and they were built long before they were ever prime retail locations or prime commercial locations. And so, we've got to look at that, because if we do things right, what we want to do is, with those properties, increase the tax base, which is ultimately going to provide us more funding or additional funding to go back to schools, so to the school system. So you're exactly right when it comes to that. I think that's an example of somebody looking for the boogeyman, or somebody thinks that somebody's going to profit off of it. And that's unfortunate that people tend to look that way. But, it is where we are as a society. But I can tell you that's where our board's focused. And there'll be a process that we'll go through to get those schools back, and our staffs will work that. On your other topic, it's unfortunate that we're going to put a constitutional amendment in place to control these things. But I'll just tell you, that's the power of the legislature, and that's what they can leave it up to the people and allow the people to make a decision. I will tell you here locally, it's not going to impact us. The caps that they're putting in place, we've been very responsible with our tax rate, especially after reevaluation. I mean, with what we did this last time and going below revenue neutral by 6 cents, dropping the overall tax rate by 30 cents. That's the kind of responsible government that you have, and that constitutional amendment won't impact it because we're being responsible. It's for the entities that aren't. I just tend to have a pause when you put things in a constitution because they're pretty permanent when you do that, and so you never know what's going to happen or what you may face. But I think people have to, read it, understand the consequences of it, but understand here locally that while it's going to be in place, the way your county government is operated, and even before, I was on the board and this current board has been seated, we've operated in a way that has been responsible and wouldn't be impacted by the new constitutional amendment that would be put in place. So we'll see how it all plays out. I also think, there's some reasons why you put that on the ballot, because there's hopes that you want to see certain voter turnout as well. So, again, understanding how things work up in the legislature, having been there for 4 years, there's probably some other things beyond just the constitutional amendment and in the income tax.
Yeah. Well, you're right about that. I mean, so.
And both sides have done it. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say.
You're right.
When Democrats are in control, they did certain things. When Republicans are in control, they did certain things. They're doing certain things. And
right.
It's that's unfortunately that's politics. I just you open that Constitution. That's
True.
a big deal.
Well,
so.
And before you leave, I know very dear friend in Dr. Jeanette Council. She wanted you to have another term as chairman for a reason. I mean, she really pushed that. And I'm not going back here to say, I'm going back what she said to me. She wanted you to be chair for another term because she felt like that you were giving good leadership. And look, Dr. Jeanette Council is committed, and I mean, bar none, she is a community hero here. To have an endorsement from her means a lot to me.
It does, and she has done so much in this community. It's funny, it's going back and looking through some of the documentation around this 911. So she's
quiet with it though. She's not, she's
squarely in the middle of the conversations and leading.
But she's quiet with it. And some people, they make a lot of noise, but making a lot of noise doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be making a lot of difference.
But when she spoke, people listened.
This is true, right? Well, look, man, I know you got to get out of here, so I want you to get your meeting in time. Is that meeting going to be televised?
No.
No. Okay. All right.
Again, it's not a published meeting.
Published meeting, right?
But
who's there is there.
It's the city's house.
Right. Who's there is there.
That's right.
Right. So, but anyway, do appreciate you. Let you get final comment here before you hit the road and get on down there to City Hall.
No, Troy, just appreciate, again, the opportunity to always come on here and have conversations with you. We'll continue to work through things as elected officials, as elected bodies that are in the best interest. And it's not always going to, be roses and pretty, but I think we can maintain a level of respect. And I think you saw that last week on the conversations that just the mayor and I had on this show. Right. And hopefully that carries across the community between our boards. And I think it has, and I'm optimistic we'll get to a resolution, and that just sets the stage for so many other things that we're working towards together, because, we all want a better community. We all want a better way of life for, our children, and just for people to have a better way of life in this community and to grow from a prosperity standpoint. So I appreciate your time.
Sure. But they also, it says a power grab, but actually it's a power grab. It's God's power.
Yeah,
that's the power grab, okay? We're going to a break. We'll be right back.
At Fayetteville State University, you will do something you thought you could never do. And never say never again. With NC Promise $500 per semester tuition, dare to see where you can go. Check out all your options, including our new cybersecurity program. Because tomorrow just can't wait. Fayetteville State University. Anything really can happen. Are you in?
If you have been injured in a motor vehicle collision, you should understand that the insurance company is not on your side. It is the adjuster's job to get by with paying you as little as possible. Call personal injury trial lawyer Brent Adams now for a free no-obligation consultation. Call now, 910-888-8888. Don't hesitate. Call 8. At Brent Adams & Associates, we make things right.
Governor Josh Stein spent Monday turning some of lawmakers' biggest bipartisan priorities into law. One of the bills, Jalila's Law, named after 13-year-old Jalila Toon, was killed by alleged gang members in Goldsboro last December. NATO is showcasing military projects worth billions to convince President Trump that allies are boosting defense spending. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte is highlighting the importance of translating economic power into military capabilities. A tanker is on fire at this hour after a projectile struck it in the Strait of Hormuz. The next phase of Duke Energy's proposed rate increase will move forward today in Raleigh with a hearing that differs from previous public hearings. It will be a closed hearing. Mike Raley, NCI News.
I'm Jamie Monticelli, WIDU Radio News. Cumberland County, in partnership with the City of Fayetteville government and community partners, will open cooling centers today through Thursday, July 9th, in response to forecasted heat index values from the National Weather Service. Residents without access to air conditioning may visit a cooling center during normal business hours to stay cool and safe. When temperatures are high and extreme heat is in the forecast, remember to drink plenty of water, stay in air-conditioned spaces when possible, avoid direct sun exposure during peak heat hours, limit outdoor activities, and take frequent breaks in the shade. The City of Fayetteville says applications are now open through July 30th for the city's new Can Do economic development programs, offering grants and loans designed to help eligible businesses and commercial property owners improve storefronts, renovate buildings, invest in commercial properties, and support redevelopment throughout Fayetteville. From WIDU Radio, I'm Jamie Monticelli.
It's going to be another hot one. We've got a few stray morning showers out there, those gradually dissipating as we go throughout the morning. As we head into the afternoon, high temperatures recovering into the low to mid-90s. It is very humid out there. Isolated showers and thunderstorms will be possible late afternoon with scattered storms up until about midnight. Temperatures low to mid-70s after midnight with highs well into the 90s Wednesday and isolated storms after 2 o'clock. I'm meteorologist Chris Michaels in the NCN Weather Center.
Angelic Florist Creations, 442 Hillsborough Street, Fayetteville, is family-owned and operated, proudly serving the Fayetteville area. Whatever the occasion, Angelic Florist Creations can create a floral arrangement or gift for any occasion or holiday. Angelic Florist Creations has prompt, friendly, and caring service. If you want to say you care, you can always say it with flowers from Angelic Florist Creations, 442 Hillsborough Street, Fayetteville. Call 910-485-2205.
Pastor Teresa McAllister and Rafa Ministries Family Center welcome you to our 2026 Family Summit this summer, Saturday, August 8th at Cliffdale Recreation Center from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. with lunch served. The theme this year, Choose Life. And we're offering our fan talks to support you in every area of life. Leaders, vendors, community professionals will be presenting from topics such as mental health, physical, financial, spiritual, and relational health. In addition, our Summer Camp Kids Choir will be featured as our performing artists. It's going to be an amazing event for the whole family. Text 843-209-6848 for more information. Or if you'd like to attend, or even to consider becoming a sponsor. Again, text 843-209-6848 for more information. Hope to see you there.
You ever notice how most helpful information always seems to show up just a little too late? Like, oh, the deadline was yesterday. Or,
you know you could have saved money if you'd done that earlier.
Timing matters. With smart timing, you can lower your energy costs by running appliances like washers, dryers, and dishwashers outside of peak hours. And by adjusting your thermostat just a few degrees higher between 3 and 6 in the afternoon, you can save even more. It's a simple shift that helps reduce strain on the energy grid, supports a more sustainable future, and keeps power reliable for everyone in our community. Because at Fayetteville PWC, we're committed to being environmentally responsible, dependable, and deeply invested in the place we all call home. Timing matters, and smart timing means savings. Learn more at startsaving@faypwc.com.
And we're back now, getting ready to about 14 minutes left in this hour here. Wrap things up. Chairman DeViere was going to a meeting to talk about the 919 consolidation. That's going to be at City Hall at that little meeting room there off from the chamber. And like I said, it wasn't an announced meeting like that, but still, anyone that wants to be there, they can be there. The room is not but so big, though. But anyway, and I'm glad, and I'm confident that the Mayor Colvin and Chairman DeViere will be able to work things out. He left, and he assured me of that. And DL, part of the issue is you got people out there that want to be so divisive, man. I mean, and they always use race.
And that's why I wanted the article in Observer about these school buildings, the ones that aren't using them more. Right. It makes it seem nefarious that the county gets it for $1. That's not something that the Board of Education made up or the Board of Commissioners made up. That's state law.
Yeah, right.
You got two funding sources for our school. You have the state of North Carolina and you have the local Board of Commissioners. You're not selling them that property for market value. Now, what happens, they get the first shot at it. And if they decline, which the county's done in the past, at $750,000 one of the buildings, they said no, because they understand the cleanup, the environmental concerns. Now, somebody under the current administration, they've kind of laxed some of these environmental rules, so it might be a good sale for a private company or whatever. But after that, the county down the road, they can revisit the issue. And if the Board of Education, which does not need to be in the real estate business, wants to sell it for the Board of Commissioners and let them handle the tearing it down and pay those environmental fees, they can sell it to them for $1. It makes sense because they get money from the Board of Education. Nothing nefarious. And I would hope that you could look for a nonprofit that could afford to and maybe build a tiny home village or something for the homeless, depending on the location, because we don't want certain areas that are close to communities, we don't want to put them in a situation where they have to deal with a lot of foot traffic. Now, I don't know the location of all the schools that the county not using anymore, because T.C. Barron is not being used for a while. So there's a lot of buildings that were built in the 40s and 50s that the Board of Education no longer using because they have a population in their school enrollment.
Yeah, like I said, some of these schools, they were not in commercial districts at the time they were originally built, but now they are. And, hey, that commercial property values have come up greatly. So, there could be a good place for some people to do some things. But like I said, though, anytime you start dealing with old buildings, you got to deal with cleanup, and you have to consider the impact of asbestos and other things that are there that are costly to get rid of.
Yeah, it's like you say, when you bring race and other things, if you're an elected official, and you talked about Jeanette Council, I didn't know that she lobbied for KIRK to be the chairman again. And I like the fact that you did. I like the fact that you specified this ain't hearsay. This is what I got direct. So you know about it. But I know why Mayor Colvin and I know why Chairman DeViere are on the show, because they are the leaders of the bodies. But other city councilmen have their own monthly show. But I would love to hear, if you invited all of them, they declined for whatever reason, they should want to come on and tell their story and the reason why they're wanting to go in this direction on the Board of Education and Board of Commissioners. But they choose not to. But what's bad about some of them is that they listen to the outside noise and without studying the facts or looking at the history of the situation or even basic stuff that an elected person should know. This is covered by a general statute. They would just run with a wild story, and to me it makes them look bad to you not know this is your function as a Board of Education person. This is your function as a town alderman. This is your function as a county commissioner.
Yeah, well, one person came on, that's Greg West. So, he's the only person that he got behind the mic. And again, I think that, he is able to articulate exactly what's going on and what's happening with that. And so, that's the upside, and that's the peak to that. You know what I mean?
Well, it's about doing your homework. It's about doing your homework, too. The Institute of Government is up there. I use it when I have a question. It's one thing I'm not going to do is wonder if an elected official in North Carolina is doing something wrong or right. Just, they have an email address. Sometimes they respond right away or a day or two. But, I look at the salaries. Now, the Board of Education, they don't make as much as the county commissioners and the city councilmen because, like I said, you have to do your work before you come into the meeting. And it's obviously, when you look at some of these meetings, you can just tell and listen on who is not doing their work or reading their packets. And then they get in there all flustered, and then they interpret things the wrong way. Then they're not man enough or woman enough to come back and say, well, I was wrong. They won't do it.
Right. Well, that's the whole thing. You got to be prepared, and but understand, nobody put a gun in anybody's head and made them run. So, that was a volatile situation. And those people, that's what they chose to do. I think that we do have a school board that's loaded with people that came out of education. Now, for me, I think that's not necessarily a good thing because they come to the table with preconceived notions and ideas because they came out of education. I think that a good mix would be people that were not in education as well. I would like to see about a third or a fourth of people that have educational background serving on that school board. That's what I like to see. But I can't tell who to run and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? But that's my position on that.
Yeah, but you're hitting on something because if you remember, I think he was a 1 or 2 star, Tony Tyler, who was the Wake County, and he come from the military. And I'll give you another example. You got the current chancellor, Dr. Allison at Fayetteville State. He's an attorney. Those folks are there. And one, Dr. Allison is to raise money because we know what the provost job do. But we're looking for guys that are going to come in and look at budgets and just look at this is what we're strong at and this is what we're weak at. And then under them, they have their associates, the next in command, who's going to run the day-to-day. If that's what it's about. You're right, because as a former educator, unless you was on the financial side of the house, you may look at things different. But you're playing with taxpayers' money. That's, I understand what KIRK is talking about, what's going on in Raleigh, putting it on the ballot. But when what's going on in Winston-Salem Forsyth with Dave Bullock, the state auditor, when you come to Winston-Salem Forsyth School and you're looking into stuff and the superintendent resigns the very next day, something ain't right, Troy. Something ain't right. So therefore, you just don't need a bunch of educators on the Board of Education. You need some subject matter experts. You need a cross section from the community. But at the end of the day, we can't tell who to run and not to run.
Yeah, we see, because what I'm indicating is, and now again, this is just my perspective. It seems like some of the people that were in education have an axe to grind with administration. And now that they're no longer educators, whether they were principals or teachers or whatever, and they get on the board, now they got the chance to straighten that out or get back or whatever. And I think they bring that kind of energy to the board, which is kind of cantankerous. And I don't feel like that's a good thing to do. I mean, that's my opinion.
I never thought about that, but that is some truth to that, But if you think about it, when they do come on, the folks who they didn't agree with are usually gone by the time they get on the board. But you're gonna take it out on the current administration. We're gonna show y'all how to run this thing,
Sometimes they're not, though. They just think about it. If the superintendent is still there, and he was your boss, or he or she is your boss, and now you are their boss, and hey, look, it's payback time, baby.
But like you said, it takes a majority to make action happen on the board of any board, elected board. But it's always good to have people to step up and volunteer, because when you're an elected official, if you're doing the job and you're dialed in, to me, you should be checking your email at least if not every day, at least every 3 days, because you got stuff coming at you. Because when folks send stuff to these city clerks or these clerks at the board level, that folks want answers. That's
true. Well, again, I can understand with the the atmosphere and the kind of energy that some people bring to elected officials now, where they wouldn't want but so much proximity between the public and themselves, because people are mad now, you know what I mean? They don't like something now, they come to your house, you know what I mean? And you might look outside and you have 500 people on your lawn now. I mean, that's kind of that's the way the world is now. I don't think that's fair, and I think that it shouldn't work like that. However, I think that there should be a mechanism, though, that there's public access. So I would suggest that the school board get governmental phones for all those people, so that they can take texts and get calls from individuals that are their constituents.
That's true. Hopefully they would like to return them. I always say when somebody emails you and you're a professional, you should return the email in a reasonable manner, and you get to dictate the reasonable manner, because I don't know what's on your plate. Because some of our board members, some of them may be still full-time employed, and if you're working your daytime job, I don't expect you to be doing, you shouldn't be doing, unless you're the boss, you shouldn't be doing county business or city business or whatever governmental business at your full-time job, you know?
Right. Well, look, we get ready to get out of here. I know it's going to be, have you already walked Bella? Is she?
No, so I was getting ready to walk her, as I told you earlier.
Right, okay.
She was trying to get out the door, and I thought she had to use the bathroom, but she got out there and started eating grass, so I got to go get her some of this stuff, this grass stuff. Hopefully she'll grow out of that phase.
They say that, just research that. They say there's a reason why they are eating grass and stuff like that. But anyway, I'll let you do your own research on that. But look, brother, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And again, the rest of you guys, have a great day today. We'll see what happens. Meeting should be starting in about a minute and a half at City Hall. Again, our most able producer today, Reverend Carl Brinkley, and I saw Reverend Paul come in trying to distract me with his New York Knicks shirt. God, can I take this? Can I take this? Anyway, look, we out here, guys. Y'all have a great day.